Monday Night Raw starts off with Cody Rhodes to Stephanie McMahon. They end up having a back and forth. It starts off with Stephanie McMahon giving advice to Cody Rhodes. She ends up mentioning, Randy Orton listening to the voices in his head, mentioning that Cody Rhodes is trying to be this nice guy, trying to bring the best out of Randy Orton, but that method isn't going to work with Randy Orton. And that basically Cody Rhodes is going to take he's going to need to take a different approach, and that he's going to have to think similar to Randy Orton, because if he doesn't, he's not going to retain the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Stephanie also ends up mentioning his father, and mentioning that his father was able to do the things that his opponents done, to get dirty and do the bad things in order to win the matches that he needed to win, and ends up saying that Cody is nothing like his father. Cody responds back, ends up mentioning that him and Randy's relationship, ends up mentioning that he knows Randy very well, that he remembers all the things Randy done. Remember when he was punt kicking everyone, including his father. Ends up mentioning how they were supposed to have this student and teacher relationship. And he ends up mentioning that some of the things that Randy Orton has done, that Stephanie has been through some of those things, so she should know how Randy is. Then Cody ends up responding back to when Stephanie was mentioning that Cody isn't his father. Cody ends up responding back, ends up mentioning Stephanie McMahon's father, ends up saying that she isn't like her father as well. Stephanie gets offended. She slaps Cody Rhodes, and then she ends up mentioning that Randy is listening to the voices in his head, basically raising concern for Cody, and that he needs to be on high alert, and that he can't be this good guy that he's typically is, that he needs to be more alert, and he needs to start thinking like Randy Orton if he wants to retain his championship. Then it ends off with Stephanie was leaving the ring. Cody ends up stopping her, pulling her away, grabs her arm, ends up saying that he only has two words for her. Everyone, even myself, for a second, I thought he was going to say suck it, but he ends up thanking her, and that was the end of the segment. This was great. This was great. Now, to be fair, as great as this segment was, this should have happened on SmackDown. This should have happened on SmackDown. I don't understand why Cody was on Raw. It actually makes no sense why he was on Raw, because this isn't his hometown, so you can't use the whole town thing. Like, this should have been on SmackDown. I don't understand why this was on Raw. It was a great segment. It was great, but this should have been on SmackDown first, especially because SmackDown needs all the help it needs to build towards WrestleMania, because that show is just a drag to go through every single week with it being throughout. It needs all the hype, all the help it can get. So this should have been on SmackDown personally, but this was a great opener nonetheless. So this is making me, well, I was already excited for Randy and Cody, but due to last week's shenanigans on SmackDown, this definitely brought my hype a little bit back to where it needs to be, because last week brought it down a bit, but this brought it back up. This was a great segment. We end up getting a tag team match between the Usos versus Division in a street fight. This was a fine match. This was fine for what it was. Towards the end of the match, you're going to be getting a moment where IShowSpeed, Logan Paul, and LA Knight all get into it. LA Knight was preventing Logan Paul to use the brass knuckles. And then it was a moment where Logan Paul pulls IShowSpeed from the crowd while LA Knight was grabbing him. And then IShowSpeed ends up picking up the brass knucks. LA Knight tries to, talk to IShowSpeed to make sure he's okay, but then IShowSpeed ends up punching LA Knight because he assumed that it was Logan Paul, so he ends up accidentally punching LA Knight. Then he ends up putting the brass knucks in the ring. This allowed Logan Paul to eventually get him, use the brass knucks on Jimmy. This allowed Austin Theory to get the pinfall, and Division are now your new tag team champions, which I'm not mad at the decision at all. Very interested to see where this goes. I think I know where this is going, though. I do think they're going to do a six-man tag match between the Usos, LA Knight, Division versus IShowSpeed. I think that's what they're doing, because IShowSpeed was hanging with Division. He doesn't want to be a part of Division, but since LA Knight is going to be furious with him, they're basically like, look, you got to stay with us so that we could protect you. So I don't mind it. This is how you use a celebrity in WWE. Not like how they're doing with Jelly Roll. This is how you use a celebrity. He wasn't overexposed throughout the show. He was in this thing alone. He wasn't throughout the show. He wasn't in 8 segments like Jelly Roll. And he's not in the main event scene. This is a tag team division. This is cool. I'm cool with this, honestly. I'm cool with it. Because plus, I'm going to be honest, I was not interested in a LA Knight Vision, so adding IShowSpeed, I'm cool with it personally. So I'm cool with this decision. This is how you add a celebrity in your WrestleMania plans. Not the way they're doing with Jelly Roll. And I like Jelly Roll. I do. But him being in fucking 8 segments in the main event, that's just ridiculous, okay? This is how you do it. So this should be a cool little fun match, just a cool little moment for IShowSpeed. So that's very dope for him. So we'll see how this plays out at Mania, if it even is at Mania. But I do think that would be the Mania match, a 6-man tag match. We end up getting a Liv Morgan promo. She ends up coming out mentioning the attack that happened last week between her and Stephanie. Ends up saying that Stephanie is taking all these cheap shots at her, constantly attacking her from behind, that Stephanie must be scared of her. Then she ends up mentioning how she has the Judgment Day, has her family, and how Stephanie doesn't have her family with her. Then she ends up mentioning her mom. Liv Morgan ends up saying that her mom taught her that you should never have anyone outdo you. And then she ends up saying that Stephanie mom must have taught her, I forgot what she said. She said something in Spanish. I think she called her mother a whore, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was what she said. Either a whore or she was a trash whore. One of the two. But I think that's what she called her mom. Then she ends up calling out Stephanie. Stephanie comes out. They just go straight at it. They brawl. Then eventually Roxanne Perez makes her return, attacks Stephanie Vaquer, helps Liv Morgan, and Liv Morgan's Roxanne stands tall. Now, they could be telling the story of Roxanne potentially betraying Liv Morgan later down the road, but I don't think they're going to tease any of that anytime soon. We're only 3 weeks away, but Roxanne has returned, assuming that she's going to be on the side of Liv Morgan. So I'm assuming she's going to not be a part of Finn's side, because Finn was the one that introduced Roxanne to the Judgment Day. But I think it's best for her to side with Liv Morgan. Eventually, you could play that down the road for the potential betrayal when eventually Raquel does it as well. But nonetheless, what they've been doing with the Stephanie and Liv feud has been really good. This is the most surprising feud to me, because I was not the biggest advocate of this feud personally, because I thought this shit would suck personally, but this has been really good. This has been really good. This is one of the feuds that I'm actually really excited about at WrestleMania, and I'm really excited. They have done really well with the limited time that they have had. It's very weird that they're getting so little time to compare to some of these other feuds that I don't think need much time, to be honest with you. But this feud has been really delivering on everything for the most part with the limited time. So it's actually surprising. I'm actually excited for this match. So very interested to see how this match plays out at WrestleMania. Women's Tag Team Championship match between Bayley, Lara versus the Irresistible Forces. I am not even going to go into this match. It was a DQ finish. Who's shocked by that? I don't even know if I'm even going to have the picture up for this match, to be honest with you. But yeah, this match was exactly how I expected. It was going to be a DQ finish, and then they was going to make the Fatal 4-Way match official. So it's a Fatal 4-Way women's tag team match between the Irresistible Forces, the champions, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley and Lara, and the Bella Twins. I'm not excited for this at all, because the women's tag team division, ever since Rio lost those titles, have been so boring, so dull, so repetitive. And then the team that I personally want to win, I don't think they're winning. I think this is going to be the Bellas or Charlexa winning. Because I think the Irresistible Forces, Nia and Lash, I think they're losing. I think they're losing personally. Because the main story they've been telling is with Charlexa and Nikki Bella. And the Bella Twins. They have been the main focus of this entire thing. So it's like, I just have a hard time believing WWE is going to have Bayley and Lara win, because WWE Triple H has shown no interest in them two for the longest time ever. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, Triple H books Charlotte Flair and Alexa pretty well for the most part. Lash and Nia has a chance because of them being champions. Plus, Lash is a new up-and-coming rising star, and Triple H typically books Nia Jax pretty well. And the Bella Twins, they're the Bella Twins, okay? They're over. It's very weird right now how to judge them, because they're playing baby faces, but at the same time, they don't feel like baby faces. It's very weird. We'll see how this eventually turn out, but this is the least exciting match, personally, for me. This is the match that I'm the least excited about, personally, at Mania. It sounds harsh, but I just don't care, personally. I just really don't care, but I hope the match is great. I really do. And I hope that since we know it's going to be a Fatal 4-Way, that we can stop with the constant interferences, that we can just give a little bit story, have them actually talk to one another, have them have better brawls and beatdowns, because these brawls and beatdowns are just terrible with these women's tag teams. I don't know what it is. So we'll see how this eventually unfolds, but I'm just not really excited about this, to be honest. We end up getting Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman ends up cutting a promo. He basically ends up mentioning what happened last week with Oba and Brock. He ends up saying that Brock Lesnar wasn't prepared. He wasn't ready. Ends up mentioning Seth Rollins was a distraction last week, that Brock Lesnar wasn't even fully dressed for the occasion. So that's why Oba got the upper hand. And then eventually Brock takes the microphone away from Paul Heyman and ends up basically calling out Oba Femi. Adam Pearce tries to stop it, but Oba Femi comes out anyway. He comes down, takes out security, pushes Adam Pearce to the ground, gets to the ring. They stand face to face, but then Triple H ends up intervening and stopping the whole thing. I like this personally. The hype that, bro, this feud feels more like a WrestleMania main event than the actual main events, which is actually kind of disappointing, to be honest with you, because that shouldn't be the case. But bro, the aura when Oba Femi comes out is ridiculous. The pop he gets, the crowd chanting Oba, the crowd doing the woo, like it is insane, bro. Like I am so excited for this match. The only thing WWE has to do is have Oba win. That's literally it. They just have to stick the landing. They're killing it with the booking. The booking of Oba is perfect so far in this feud. They have been building this perfectly. They just have to land this and have Oba win. But this is perfectly executed personally. They have not missed on any of these segments at all. This has been a really great what they've been doing with Oba and Brock Lesnar. So I'm very excited for this. We end up getting an Intercontinental Championship match between Penta versus Kofi Kingston. Penta retains, of course, makes perfect sense. Kofi Kingston wasn't going to win this match. But then after the match, Penta ends up getting on the microphone, announcing what he's going to do at Mania, and announced that it's going to be a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship match. And it's going to be between him, Rusev, Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, and JD McDonough, which is very shocking because I was very shocked there wasn't a sixth person in this match. And I was very shocked that Rusev was in this match because we haven't seen Rusev in a while. I kind of wish they would have just put Kofi Kingston in this match, especially because they've been telling this story with Kofi and Javon, trying to have Kofi be this mentor to Javon. So I think it would have been cool to have him in the match. Plus, you put all high flyers in this match, but Rusev. So that was a bit confusing because, like, 4 out of the 5 people in this match are high flyers, but Rusev. So that was a bit confusing on why they decided to have Rusev be the only person that's not a high flyer. That was a bit confusing in my opinion. But nonetheless, I'm not mad at it. It is a bit predictable, I will say, because I just don't see how Penta loses here. Mainly because the only person I can see winning this match is Javon Evans. That's why I kind of wish maybe you could have put like a Kofi, maybe a Sheamus could have put in there to add a little bit unpredictability. But nonetheless, I'm not mad at it at all. Predictability isn't always bad. Plus, I don't want Penta losing that title anytime soon, personally. So I'm cool with this, honestly. This was the best solution for that IC title at Mania anyway. So I can't wait to see how that match plays out because that match should be an absolute banger. We do end up getting another Paul Heyman segment. Paul Heyman was talking on the microphone. He gets interrupted by Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis earlier in the show was talking about Paul Heyman needs to check his email. Paul Heyman doesn't check his email. Adam Pearce. I don't know why I said Nick Aldis. Adam Pearce ends up revealing that in the email, it revealed that Seth Rollins is medically cleared and that he could wrestle again. Seth Rollins eventually comes out, attacks Paul Heyman. He was about to go for a stomp, but then someone pulls him, and I thought it was Braun Breaker, but it ends up being Gunther of all people. Attacks him, puts him in a sleeper, and makes Seth Rollins passes out. I'm not mad at this decision at all. I'm actually happy about this decision. Now this doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't make any sense. But Seth Rollins and Gunther are 2 big names that you kind of can't leave off Mania based off the stories and how you've been building them. And it would have been a disappointment if they weren't on the card. And plus, you could kind of make this work to a degree if you make it to where you add like Paul Heyman shenanigans into it, but I don't mind this. Even though it doesn't make sense, I don't mind it personally because Seth Rollins and Gunther need to be on the card. Especially Gunther, because you can't have Gunther retiring everybody and not make it to the WrestleMania. That makes no sense. But how you can make this make sense, I think is very simple. Just have Paul Heyman hire Gunther as his protector and have him guarantee him to retire another legend down the line, and that legend becomes Brock Lesnar down the line, with Paul Heyman betraying Brock Lesnar to Gunther to feed him to Gunther, and Gunther retire Brock Lesnar. That's the story you should tell. And then who knows, maybe Paul Heyman and Gunther have a pairing, and that becomes his next Paul Heyman guy. Gunther's the next Paul. Who knows? But nonetheless, I'm excited for this because I've been wanting Gunther and Seth Rollins to feud and have a match against each other since the World Heavyweight Championship first got introduced. When Gunther was IC champion, Seth was world champion, I've been wanting them to feud since then. So the fact that we're finally getting it, I'm not complaining about it at all. So I'm actually very excited to see how this match plays out. We end up getting the main event. Roman, Punk, they said no words at all. They immediately go at each other. They brawl. Punk ended up getting the upper hand at the end with him hitting a GTS and a powerbomb on the announce table, standing strong, which I'm not mad at all. Punk had to get his revenge from last week. Makes perfect sense for him to stand tall this week. Very interested to see what they do next week, whether it's just them cutting another promo or them just from now on going back and forth. Because to be honest with you, you don't really need to have to do promos anymore. Personally, I would have them just continue to just fight all the time. And then when they do talk, it's more so like in a sit down interview or like a contract signing type thing, not more so like a back and forth promo battle. But we'll see how eventually how this unfolds. But this was a good I like what they did in the main event. I like that they didn't speak no words. I like how they just fight, just brawl. For whatever reason, the referees and security all of a sudden didn't want to stop them like they did with Randy Orton and Cody. But for this, they decided to act dumb. Like they tip. I don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand why last week you had them constantly pulling Randy and Cody, but for this week you decided to just change that up. I don't understand it, but we'll see how eventually how this all unfolds. But overall show was great. This was a great overall show. Raw has been killing it for the road to WrestleMania, where SmackDown really needs to improve it. I feel like part of it is the 3 hours where it's just ruining the show because it just drags too long. But SmackDown desperately needs to improve their show, but Raw has been killing it for the past few weeks. But this was an overall great show. You guys let me know your overall thoughts or opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. But yeah, that's it.